So Highland Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
Happy what day even is it? It's Wednesday.
It's
Happy Wednesday.
Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Isn't there a
Hey.
Vine? It's Wednesday, my dudes. If you're a millennial, you'll
Thank
pick
you.
that up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was like 2015. I appreciate the throwback.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Old, come on. You're like a year older than me. It's not even that
Old
crazy.
man.
Old man. Jesus. Isn't it past your bedtime, Grandpa?
It's getting there, man. We're recording this at 7:30 at night on Wednesday, my dudes.
Oh, you get a little too excited about it.
And I'll be hitting the hay after I hit the stop button on
Honestly,
this recording.
You and me both. Yeah, you and me both, man. Yeah.
Hey, you're actually the one that goes to bed super early.
I do. I actually hit the hay around like 9 o'clock now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pushing it, but my eyes start to cross and I start getting the big yawns and around like 8:30 now. It's crazy. No melatonin in sight. That's just all natural, man. All natural.
All el natural.
Mm-hmm.
Hell
You know it.
yeah.
You know it.
Love it.
Love it. Yeah.
Well, doing a little something different today. We're doing a standalone single review, which is not something we have ever done. We have slowly made album reviews a part of the content that rolls out on the channel, but now we're switching it up. We're doing a single review. Today we're chatting about Vincent Berry the Second's single "Take Me to the River" from the Hulu documentary The Honorable Shyne.
So originally going into this song, I didn't really know what to expect. I've personally never listened to Vincent Berry II. I've never listened to any of his work, but I mean the cover is boss. So I was like, okay, this is gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
It did not disappoint. To be completely honest, this is not a genre that I listen to typically. It's very slow. It's very laid back, where it's not doing too much compared to the type of music that we usually listen to, which is very in your face. It's very almost taunting music compared to this, like metal, rap, pop for you. I mean, you listen to what's her name? Tate McRae.
Yeah.
I mean, like we cover like almost every genre except for this kind of very soulful, like calm, peaceful, something you would listen to just in the dark with some candles on, We never unwind with our music. We just get wound up with our music. So this was a completely
Totally out of
direction.
left field. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, even though it's not something that I'm typically drawn to, it is still a genre and a sound that I do enjoy when I do come across it. I honestly, truthfully, I do wish I listened to more music like this because songs like this definitely feature more vocal power instead of here's as many things as we could do on a guitar and drums and bass at the exact same time. So then you kind of have to go like, wow, where it's kind of the instrumental and the vocals are on the same level. As I said, i.e. metal, rap, where it's kind of instrumental and vocals both have to be on point for it to be good. For this, it does not require the instrumental to be completely perfect. Not saying this instrumental is bad at all. I think it carries the vocals beautifully, and I think it's doing just enough to still give the vocals that time to shine. I think the vocals are extremely powerful. They're strong. They moved me a little bit. Honestly, like I've listened to it so many times today, and it's like every time there's still points in the song where I go like, whoa, that's a crazy note. The range is beautiful. It's just how effortlessly Vincent is able to go from high note to a riff to belting to runs, just one after another after another. It is incredible. I think it's genuinely, it's just a breathtaking song. Because the instrumental isn't in your face and it isn't competing with the vocals, it definitely puts you in the position where you have to kind of face the lyrics and you have to face the vocals. And it kind of gives you that second to kind of sit back and go, wow, this is really impressive. This is incredibly impressive. All that to say, I really like this track a lot. Genuinely, I think it's a great track. As I said, it's kind of one of those dark room, maybe long drive at night, street lights are on, that type. It kind of fits into like a playlist that I had when I was like 15, where it was just like nighttime road trip vibes, where it's like all of those acoustic tracks that all of like water parks would do. Like I had all the acoustic tracks from water parks, I had all the acoustic pop tracks, I had all those kind of indie vibes in there. While this isn't indie or acoustic or anything like that, it still kind of fits into that, creating an atmosphere that makes you genuinely float. You just kind of want to float along in it and enjoy it and be encapsulated in it.
Yeah.
And I crave that type of music every now and then, and this hit the spot.
Absolutely. Yeah. I am also, I spent a ton of time with the song, knowing going in that we were going to record something separate for this. I'm like, gonna need something to talk about, because typically when we chat about singles on our weekly podcast, it's just kind of like, I like this is why, this is what's coming next, and you know, we kind of speed through them, especially when there's a lot. But knowing that we had to sit down and we were going to make a video solely about the song, I spent a lot of time with this, and you know, my feelings on this have changed as I've listened to it and heard it in different contexts, because, you know, as Glory said, it is so out of left field from what we typically listen to. I mean, if you follow the podcast, you know, I mean, I listen to mainly metal. Like I turned this song off. I turned on the New A Day to Remember singles. Like that's just
which
what
is questionable nonetheless. You
hey,
know,
man.
like that.
But I really came to enjoy this song. It's very like the vocal performance, which is the forefront of this song, is so impressive. It is so soulful, and you know, there's not a ton of lyrics. It is very like the lyrics are minimal. There's singing throughout the entire song, but there's not like crazy verses and a big chorus. It's just kind of like basically the song title, which is not a problem at all. But that delivery, like the delivery, even though it's so simplistic, just hits you. And that's really the main takeaway I got, is like the instrumental is so stripped back in the mix that the vocals really get to shine, and the delivery, I can't get past how mind-blowing it is. Because it starts out like very almost melancholic at the beginning, and everything's a lot quieter, and then towards the end it like kind of builds into not a crazy crescendo, because again the song kind of stays in the same plane, but towards the end it definitely builds up and becomes and has this big climactic moment at the end that really, like, I don't know, started tugging at my heartstrings, and I'm not,
made you a little emotional.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know why, because like typically,
I'm feeling something right now.
Typically, you know, I just listen to music to listen to music, and occasionally something will strike me, but it's not super often, and that's just how I listen to music. Like I just enjoy the art, but it's not always to get a feeling out of it. It is solely I just like the sounds that I'm hearing. So when I come away from a song that is not something that I would typically listen to and get this intense emotional feeling from it, I did a double take. I had to sit here. I'm like, all right, what the hell, man? Like, someone's got to break this down for me and explain to me why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. But you know, this does come from the documentary The Honorable Shyne, and you know, when their team reached out asking you know, to sponsor an episode of the podcast, we obviously went ahead and watched the documentary ahead of time to make sure that it was something that we were into. And this song comes from that documentary, as I said, and it's at the very end, and that was because I heard the song a couple times before going into the movie, and then I heard it at the end, and that's when everything clicked for me, and I had the first of then many, because I've heard this song so many times in the past week or so. But that was the first time of many where I had that moment where I was like, oh my god, because I wanted to see, part of why, obviously I wanted to see the film because it seemed super interesting, and we'll get into
Absolutely.
our thoughts on it after in a little bit here, but I wanted to see where this was going to place, because I heard it and I was like, I genuinely don't know
How
where
does
this
this
could place in
Yeah.
the movie.
Where does this go?
Yeah, knowing what, the kind of music that Shine made, I was like,
Mhm.
this isn't what I was even remotely expecting to be in the
No.
film.
Yeah.
But at the end, especially like leading up to it, him talking about like how when he gets in the water, he
I'm so happy you brought that up.
yeah, he what is it, when he gets in the water, he like
It's
becomes,
healing.
yeah, it's healing.
He's washing away all the filth
Mhm.
that he still feels like covers him. It's just rejuvenating. It's like it's reinvigorating. It's
Yeah.
great. It's good for him. And I remember hearing that. My mom was in the room with me and she went, "That's exactly how I feel too."
Yeah.
And I went, "This is incredible.
Yeah.
This is literally because me too. I love just going in the water and just kind of not even to swim is what he said." And that's when it also hit me because I was like, exactly. You just go in to be in the water and to feel it and to let it kind of wash over you and not even like splash around and play. Granted, I do that too, but most of the time I just float around and I just kind of like let the water wash over me and just kind of enjoy that. And I really connected with that as well. I'm really happy you brought that up.
Yeah. And then, that line is said, and then pretty much, very, very shortly after that, this song begins to play, and I'm like, okay, now it all makes sense. The connection makes sense. The song hits for me. Yes, the song absolutely stands on its own. I think it's an incredibly powerful piece of music.
Oh, yeah.
But, there's a reason why it's tied into the film. And, if you've checked out the song, or you check it out because of this review, it will strike you even harder if you go ahead and watch the documentary. And I think that's something that we can both agree with.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now speaking on the documentary,
Mhm.
what a full life Shine has lived.
Yeah.
I thought, by just reading kind of the description of the documentary and just, giving it a brief reading, going, okay, that sounds pretty okay, fine, actually sitting down and watching it. It's an hour and 40 minutes long. Very, I mean, you could dedicate an hour and 40 minutes. I was able to.
Glory goes, how long is it? And I go, it's an hour and 40. She goes, that's light work. I'm like, okay.
Exactly, that's nothing. Literally, I mean, with like Avengers Endgame being like 3.5 hours long, I can do an hour and 40 minutes.
Mhm.
That's like so easy, and that's actually what I gravitate towards the most for movies and stuff. I call them 90-minute adventures. Come on, this was a 100-minute adventure, even better. It's just crazy how, granted, he was like 17, 18 when his grind started, and then 19 when he officially blew up. From then on, I mean, he finally got Diddy's attention. He got signed to Bad Boy Records. From there, he just kind of blew up. He was like under Diddy's wing the entire time, hanging out with them, to then being involved in a club shooting, had the entire thing twisted on him, which was so frustrating to watch. Just hearing him having eyewitness reports and people still going, "No, he did that." When it's that just personally, that just frustrated me. And I'm sure it would frustrate anyone who heard him and heard his story and went, "So then why did that happen? Why did you?"
Yeah.
So that I had to pause the documentary for a second and like walk around for a second because I hate when just stuff like that happens. And again, as I feel most people would, because you want the right person to be taken to justice. You want the good guy to come out fine. But in this instance, in my opinion, he was reacting completely valid. I mean, if you're being threatened like that, you should be able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
As he said, he was like it takes a second. It only takes a second if someone has a gun. And the fact that he responded in a way that he thought was appropriate and then he was not heard out at all.
Wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So then being able to witness I mean, from the media perspective, because it isn't all just him talking. There are obviously a lot of sections cut out from, Fox, just different news outlets reporting on it, because it was a big situation when it originally happened. Um, Being able to see it happen, almost like I was transported back in time to when, like, this is live footage, and seeing how quickly P. Diddy turned on him and just ignored him and forgot about him for 8.5 years. For Shyne to get deported
Mhm.
back to Belize. Again, not a peep from P. Diddy. Nothing. And again, I just keep getting more and more frustrated because I'm like, bro, this was your dog.
Mhm.
And you guys were together for you believed in this kid.
Yeah.
Kid. He was 19 years old. And you're just gonna let him take the fall like that? Not even gonna bail him out? Again, see, I'm getting heated
Yeah.
again because I had to pause multiple times and just walk around because I was like, I genuinely, if this was a family friend, if this was a family member, I would have been causing a scene because
Mhm.
I'm like, no, is no one else seeing this? Am I going crazy?
Mhm.
Like, how are you not? Anyways, so then going to Belize, still continuing his music career. Sorry, I skipped over his entire prison arc, which was honestly really cool. So in prison, he released, well, like his first year in prison, his debut record came out, and it went top, like number one
Mhm.
on the Billboard chart. Insane. It sold over 1 million copies, I believe, in the first week, which is incredibly impressive, especially for the time. That means like streaming era was not there. That was all pure sales.
Mhm.
Incredibly impressive. Um, from then he recorded another LP in prison on a prison phone,
Yeah.
sent it back to his producer, got that stuff mixed and mastered, and then put out another one and called it Buried Alive.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I actually looked into that record a little bit, and it's wild
Yeah.
because it was a lot of things that were already recorded before he went to prison, and then
Mm-hmm.
using some phone conversations for most of the songs, and then one song was fully recorded in prison over the prison phone. And I'm like, that's so badass.
Unstoppable.
Yeah.
Genuinely, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That was like one of the most impressive things that I saw on that documentary. And the documentary is littered with just milestone after milestone after. You can't stop this man.
Mhm.
He's an unstoppable force. At this young, it's incredible. Um, it's genuinely, it's unheard of. That type of spunk and energy. You're in prison and you're still like, I gotta get this next record out.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Meeting
Okay.
with record labels while in prison.
While in prison,
Yeah.
getting deals.
Yeah.
Like, girl, okay? Um, so, um, like having like major celebrities visit him in prison just to be like, dog, this is awesome. Your music's great.
Mhm.
Oh, that's so cool. So, um, that's awesome. I'm talking a lot. Your turn. Sorry. I thoroughly enjoyed this
I
documentary.
can
Like
tell.
I was raving about it while it was happening to my parents. I was like, you guys got to sit down. It became a family event. I had half my family in the living room with me, all of them just going, "Whoa." Like every 5 minutes. And it's genuinely such it's such a good watch.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I was blown away by the documentary. It follows his life from getting started as a musician to getting signed to the shooting and everything that happened with that, and getting framed, to his time in prison, to getting out, being deported, and then going back to Belize and working his way up, and getting into politics and working his way up the
Yes.
political ladder there.
just like his father.
Yes. And then, ends off with, the resolution to the entire thing with, Diddy being exposed for, everything that's going on over there. And it ultimately coming out that, Shyne wasn't the one that fired the gun in the club that night.
which must have been so extremely validating for one of the main eyewitnesses in the club, the lady who got shot in the nose,
Mhm.
who for the last 25 years
Mhm.
had been saying, Diddy did it. I was literally shot in the face by Diddy.
Mhm.
Why is no that again, I would have thought I was going crazy because it's like I was literally there. How are you not hearing me?
Yeah. Yeah, but it was super interesting to hear the commentary from Shyne, as well as, you know, friends of his, you know, fellow musicians, executives, that in the music industry, former managers, things like that. You know, getting to hear all their commentaries about that time and that entire trajectory of his life was super interesting, because like obviously you get the story arc, but then you get to hear from Shyne himself, as well as the people that were around him at those times, everybody's perspectives on the situation, and I thought that was super awesome. My favorite part though was the beginning, talking about his come up to ultimately getting signed, and the absolute hustle that he had. You know, and his hustle throughout his entire, you know, career and his life, and with everything he's done, is unmatched. But, you know, the fact that, you know, he was just like, he wanted it so bad, like he had that DIY grind, that I think, you know, for just about anyone in music, like this documentary, you know, you watch it as an aspiring musician and you get inspired.
You're gonna resonate with it. Heavy.
Yeah, because whether you're trying to do, you know, a metalcore project, or you're trying to make it in jazz, or you're trying to make the EDM thing work, or whatever genre you're trying to tackle, you know, there is no denying the hustle that's needed for any of that. And you know, the hustle from Shyne to get to where he was and to get signed was super inspiring, and I was just like, man, I gotta show this to the artists I work with at my day job. And like, you know, granted they all have great hustles, but like, just to be like, look at what this guy did,
it pays off. Hustle pays off.
By just like going up to people and being like, are you in the music industry? And I want to rap for you if you are. Like, that's so awesome.
That awesome?
Yeah.
It is incredible. And then just already having connections with people directly in the circle of Diddy in that example, where it's just, hey, I'll come back next month and I'll rap for you. What do I need to change? What do I need to improve on? Okay, I need to improve on that. I'll be back. 7 months later, I'm back. Let me rap for you. That's it. I will take you to so and so. I'll show you. I'll show your tape. Finding Jay-Z just somewhere and being like, hey, if you listen to this, you have your gun on you. Crazy thing to just say to someone. Firstly, this was my favorite part. You have a gun on you? To Jay-Z. Whose boy is this? Says Jay-Z. He's like, oh, well, I'm just asking because this is my tape. You know, if you don't think I'm the hottest rapper right now, you could take your gun and you can use it on me, you know?
Wild.
How are you just saying that?
Wild thing to say to anybody, but especially Jay-Z.
And then he finds Jay-Z later down the road, and he goes, so what do you think of my tape? And Jay-Z goes, it was aight. He didn't use it. So that's got to say something. I mean, granted, Jay-Z probably also didn't want to catch a case, you know? But it's also like the balls to just walk up to one of the hottest rappers at that point in time. Still, Jay-Z is still a household name, so I can't even say like he's still there. He's still Jay-Z. To be able to walk up to someone, that amount of charisma, that amount of just courage, and just that shows how much he wanted it. As you said, it's just that grind set of just, I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Here you go, take it. Just awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. Cool. So cool.
Overall, a very inspiring documentary that we both thoroughly enjoyed. And, you know, this song, Take Me to the River, just the perfect ending to the documentary, really, to tie all of those emotions together, you know, really make you feel something. And even on its own, if you listen to it on its own, it will invoke some sort of emotion in you.
For sure.
Highly recommend checking out the documentary. Highly recommend checking out the song, and, you know, let us know what you think of it, because we stand by it. We highly recommend it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bidding war without a record.
The Honorable Shyne.
The music industry really wanted to sign artists who had those gangster stories.
This guy gonna be a problem.
God reached for his weapon, and that's when I reached for my weapon.
Puffy got acquitted and he got 10 years.
I was absolutely set up to be the fall guy. The politics just came naturally because I was just always helping people.
This story is unbelievable.
Watch the critically acclaimed The Honorable Shyne, available now on Hulu.
That's our thoughts on it. You can follow us on Twitter. It's Good Noise _Cast. Instagram is Good Noise Podcast. Facebook is Good Noise Pod. TikTok is Good Noise Podcast. YouTube is Good Noise Podcast. All your streaming services are also Good Noise Podcast, and Patreon is patreon.com/Good Noise Podcast. Other than that, I have been Shane.
I've been Glory.
And we have been the Good Noise Podcast. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.